Good afternoon. My name is Jeremy Smith. I am getting ready to present the two different cheeses, the Stinky cheeses that we're supposed to pair with a Chardonnay and a Cabernet Sauvignon, and also a port, which I did. Start off with the cheeses that I chose were it's the Harbison, I believe that's how you pronounce it. It's from produced by Sellers at Jasper Hill, so it's definitely got a nice pungent flavor. It's got some nice molding around the outside rind of it. I could be wrong, but I do believe this may be partially cave aged. I did a little bit of research on it, and I'm not sure if this is a particular one that is, but from what I understand, well, maybe not, no, because it says it was produced in Greensboro, Vermont, so around your guys' neck of the woods. And then, of course, the other cheese that I did was just your typical classic, old school blue tag, Maytag blue cheese. Fortunately, I was trying to find a nice Stilton or maybe something a little like Roquefort, or I was trying to find, but I didn't have time. I was a little crunched for time. So, but I did go with the legitimate blue tag label Maytag blue cheese. Sorry, it's been a long day. The port that I chose to pair with these two, which of course, to be honest with you, it cut really nicely through. You know, it was the creaminess of the what's the name of that? Creaminess of the Harbison. So I don't know if you necessarily pronounce it or not, but it was really nice with the sweetness and and the jammy flavors from the port. The port that I chose, and I apologize for the constriction of space here, but Cockburns, or as if the Queen would prefer, I think it's Coburns, because you're not allowed to say the word cock in front of the Queen. Special Reserve. It was very, very smooth, had a long finish, had berry notes, it was a little heavy-bodied. Obviously, I've got the glass, a little goblet, a little full, cordial goblet. It's got some thick tears on it, and just from looking at it, I would guess it'd have like a really high alcohol content. And the label on the bottle actually says it's 20% by volume, which is a lot higher than I assumed that it would be. I'm not very familiar with ports. I will have to say that the only times I really have had port was either for almost like an after meal cordial or dessert wine, or when it's pairing with cheeses and such as this was. There's almost like a nuttiness to the Haribo. The rind on it's really nice too. Like I said, it does have a little bit of slight blue molding. Something I did think that was interesting, kind of a cool marketing feature. There's a little sticker on the back of the package that said, "My blooming rind may have a dappling of harmless gray flora, no big deal." So that's kind of cool. For those that aren't really cheese savvy, I guess, that don't understand that you can eat the mold and it won't hurt you. It is part of the aging process. And then the port also, of course, this almost reminded me of a really well-aged Limburger, like a real creamy Limburger. And then, of course, the blue cheese was quite a bit more mild on the nuttiness, and it wasn't nearly as creamy, and obviously it's more crumbly. It's a lot drier. Didn't have a rind on it, but the tang on the blue cheese on the back of the palate, I think, is what really paired really well. I ate the blue cheese first, let it go my palate, then had the port, and then back to the cheese again, and it really cut nicely with that tang that hits you on the back of the tongue. That it almost, I think the port almost paired better with the blue cheese over the Haribo. It almost created your salty, your sweet, your all 6 senses of the umami effect almost with the port. And then for the Cabernet Sauvignon, I chose to do the Vanderbilt Reserve, and I can proudly say that I live about roughly an hour away from the Biltmore House in Asheville, North Carolina, and this is one of their says Dry Creek Valley Cabernet Sauvignon. This is one of them. They've got a really nice vineyard. Actually, I took a tour of their vineyard about 4 months ago, and they got a great setup. They got a lot of great wines for being this climate, the terroir that's in that area. They really know what they're doing. They do. I believe they do. I know for sure they have oak casks, and they also do steel casks also. They play around with a lot of different varietals of berries. I know they go from muscadine all the way down to your normal wineberry. So they have lots of different varieties. It's great. With the cab, it had a nice. It was a little dry. It had some mineral notes to it. The wine by itself was good, but I will have to admit it didn't pair that well with the Harborough or the Maytag. I definitely would not choose this as a tasting to go along with cheese. You needed to have more of a. It's almost like the mouthfeel and the body and the balance on it was a little off compared to this, and especially with the Maytag, it kind of cut, or it almost coated the wine. Almost just completely took away the flavor of both cheeses altogether. I just think it was the overall, even had notes of like a little bit of black pepper and stuff like that, especially on the nose. Speaking of that, the legs and the tears, and I believe it's 13% by volume, it's 14% by volume as well. Again, it was dry. Again, I think especially when it comes to cheeses, you need that sweet factor in there to be able to kind of get it all well balanced out. It had my deductive tasting sheet, which I don't have with me right now, but it had blackcurrant, plum, some hints of vanilla, little char, which I'm assuming is probably from the barrel that it was aged in. Also the fermentation process also. But again, I would not pair with either one of these cheeses ever again. Again, it wasn't god awful. I didn't have to spit it out, but it just wasn't that great of a pairing. And then I also did a Chardonnay. I did Laguna Chardonnay, Russian River Valley, Sonoma County. So it's a Sonoma County, California wine, which this was a little more expensive than I thought it was. Not bad price. I think I paid $45 for this bottle. It's not too bad. And again, like as I said before in my other videos, I'm not really that big of a fan of Chardonnay. I think it's more of one of those wines. It's more of an acquired taste. Once you start drinking them more and just start different tastes and flavors or different types of it, you get more used to it. But with the Harborough, it did pair nicely with the Harborough. It had a nice amount of sweetness to it. It wasn't overpowering. The body on it wasn't too heavy. The finish on it was a nice medium plus finish. Let's see here. It had some nice ripe fruit flavors. So that, I believe this one it is a coastal wine. So, again, the terroir in there, the cool coastal breezes coming off the ocean, I think it had a nice terroir effect on the berries as well. And again, it was a crisp, clean. The acidity on it wasn't too bad either. There is some acidity, but it's not to the point where it kills it. And it's a nice even cut between the harshness, per se, of the Harborough. And then again, with the Maytag, I wish I could have got a stinkier cheese to go along with it, or a more pungent cheese, because to me, eating blue cheese, like Maytag blue cheese, is almost like eating cheddar. It's not as a distinctive flavor, and I guess I'm just so used to the flavors of the Maytag blue cheese rather than the Harborough. Again, it just kind of canceled out the flavors a little bit for me. But again, the Laguna did pair very, very nicely with the Harborough. And again, like I said, it was just okay with the blue cheese. But overall, I was very happy with the Coburns, not the Cockburns. The Coburns port, across the board with both the Maytag and the Harborough. Of course, you can't really go wrong with a nice, sweet port. But again, even with the Coburns, it's not too sweet either, so it doesn't it's not as bad of a dessert type, or cordial type as others, but it's still good. And again, it paired very well with both these. I was very happy with the Coburns. And again, the Cabernet from Biltmore, the Vanderbilt Reserve, if you were to serve it with maybe some venison, some nice espresso ground venison, or grilled with a nice, starch and veg, it would go very well with that. At a nice medium rare, maybe with like a nice demi, to go along with the venison, like a chocolate demi maybe. And but when it comes to cheeses, it just overall it was not a good pairing at all. And then of course the Chardonnay, like I said, it paired well nicely with the Haribo over the blue cheese. But again, a lot of this is because I'm so used to the flavor of blue cheese, and it's obviously a lot more mild than the Haribo is. But overall, again, did the Vanderbilt Reserve Cabernet Sauvignon Dry Creek Valley from the Biltmore Vineyard, Nashville, North Carolina. And then, of course, for my Chardonnay, did the Laguna Chardonnay, Russian River Valley, Sonoma County. And then the Coburn's Special Reserve Port. I'm going to get those on the Chardonnay again. Yeah. It's got those citrus notes in there too. Again, and it's not an overpowering pungent wine. It doesn't kill the Haribo. It's a nice pairing. But again, with even with the blue cheese, it was okay pairing. It wasn't horrible, but definitely, if I were to mix one of these three wines, it would definitely be the Vanderbilt Reserve wine. I would definitely choose the Chardonnay with the Haribo, and of course the Coburn's Port went very well with both altogether. And that's all I have for my Stinky Cheese wine pairing. And thank you very much. Have a great afternoon.